Cutting into programming right now, Scott Carpenter and Sarah Killing with you, staying on top of late breaking news out of Birmingham.
A 2-alarm fire in 5 Points South. This is what we know right now. We want to give you a live look here. You can see that fire is still burning, smoke billowing up in the sky. Crews have been fighting this for hours. It started just before 6 o'clock this morning.
I want you to take a look at this video. This is what our crew saw when they first arrived. You see that building is engulfed in flames there on 20th Street South in 5 Points South. Massive flames shooting out of the top of this building. We do know it was a vacant building, and then that fire that you see spread to 2 apartment buildings nearby, and the Red Cross has been there since 8:30 this morning assisting people.
And WVTM 13's Kayla Davis has been down on the scene now for hours working to talk to those impacted. Kayla, what have you learned?
Yeah, we just spoke with the fire chief, and she actually said exactly what you just said. It started at this building right here before spreading over to these 2 that did have residents inside. Now, thankfully, nobody was hurt in the process. Everyone is safe. Red Cross is responding to them to ensure that they have resources after they've been devastated by this fire. We just took a walk over here down this way, and the fire is still even past where you can see. Obviously, you see that they're still working on this house right here, and it's just completely burned down to the ground. But earlier this morning, I spoke with Lucy Parker, who's just 22 years old and lives with her sister in one of these buildings, and she's absolutely devastated. But she tells me you never know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen.
I looked out my bedroom window where the back of our apartment building faces, and there's fire trucks, and I see orange kind of reflecting off of this huge abandoned house next to our apartment, and it was on fire. And it definitely looked like a small fire for a little bit, and it seemed like they were, trying to control it and contain it. And so we I think everybody in our building was just kind of like, whoa, I guess that's happening next door. And then it started spreading, and it started getting bigger, and they started telling everyone to evacuate our building for precaution. And so I didn't really think twice. I just put on what I could clothes-wise and walked out. And yeah, it just started getting bigger and bigger. It was above our apartment building. The flames were so high, and I'd never seen anything that big. It was insane.
Now, thankfully for Lucy and her sister, they are from Montgomery, so they have somewhere to go now that this has all happened. But again, American Red Cross is out here responding to a lot of the people that did live in these buildings to help them with the aftermath. Back to you guys.
Kayla, I want to keep you right there. Our viewers have been seeing video of what it looked like at different points today. Behind you, the building that first caught fire, if you could set the scene for us, that is totally gone, right? And it looks like the apartment building next to it is also at risk of being a total loss right now.
Yeah, that's right. This building right here is completely gone. It's gone to the ground. It's still on fire, and you can't see it right here, but just across the street there are more firefighters that are using a lot of this water that's around the corner to respond. And then these 2 buildings, one being a condo, one being an apartment, one has 17 units, and thankfully no one was hurt in those, and we aren't sure just how many were inside of the apartment building. But again, everyone that was inside evacuated before this fire started around 5 a.m. and made it out safely, and they're going to continue to work on it throughout the day until it's contained.
And Kayla, we know that this fire has such a large presence throughout the city of Birmingham. We know folks even down into Shelby County are seeing the fire from this smoke. What are firefighters, what are they saying about the risk to folks down in that area?
Looks like Kayla, can you hear us? We might have lost.
She may have lost the sound there, but we do know they were sending out a warning talking about the possible toxins from the fire up in this area. And just the scope there, the span that this fire spreads, it's a very large, they said at least the entire block impacted by this fire.
And it's still an active fire, right? Birmingham Fire still trying to put out this fire. Are we going back to Kayla, or are we keeping it here? Is Kayla able to hear us yet? Okay, it looks like we have lost Kayla, but once again, the Red Cross is out there assisting people. We know that they're going to be out there for a long time today. Obviously, they're asking you to avoid the area, as you just said. They said a fire of this size, there's going to be toxins. This is live images here. This is live, what our photographer on the ground is capturing. As this fire has spread from building to building, we know 3 buildings have caught fire. Thankfully, there are no injuries reported with this. But Sarah, we've been seeing images like this all morning long. Since 5 o'clock this morning when this started, you've been seeing those images right here on WVTM 13. And the intensity of these flames continues to throw smoke into the sky. And it's as quick as and there you see the water rushing onto that spot. It's like as quick as they can react to this, it just continues to burn out of control.
Yeah, and this is still, as you can see, a very active scene. Those flames still going very strong this morning. We talk about the presence there. When we were hearing from the chief there on the scene, they were saying it was a 2-alarm response. However, they were calling in additional resources. And even here where we are, we were hearing the fire trucks being called in around 6 o'clock this morning, going to respond to the scene. So the fire chief there saying she doesn't even know how many crews are down there. They just know this was at least a 2-alarm fire. A lot of other resources called in, and that fire just gutting those apartment buildings and, of course, destroying the home where it started, that home right there on 20th Street South. It's in a well-known area, a residential area, businesses there on the scene. So this is a heavily populated area there on the south side of Birmingham. So a lot of folks impacted by this. Even if you don't live or work in this area, you likely saw the smoke from this fire. You could see this from, again, as far as Shelby County, the trail of this large plume of smoke going all the way southeast there into Shelby County. Folks driving in this morning to work, complaining about the smoke that was covering at the interstate and filling the sky there. So a dangerous situation. It doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon because you can still see some very large flames coming from that home there in those apartment buildings.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. So that you see that little like sign close to the road, right? There was a building right there in that lot that used to be standing as of early this morning. It caught fire. We watched the roof collapse right here in the studio. Then we watched the second floor go down, and then we watched the whole thing just crumble and fall. So that building that you're seeing smoldering off to the left of where I was describing right there, that's a separate building. That is in sense one of the apartment buildings that we're told has caught fire. One of the 2 apartment buildings that has caught fire. It almost looks like some fire has caught onto the back of that area as well, but that apartment is not even where it started. And then you go to the right, the other building that was, well, we had that shot there, the other building that was on fire is now, look at this, it just engulfed in flames there on the roof. That smoke is just pouring out. This is really just a horrible scenario for firefighters trying to get this under control. We know when we talked to a Birmingham Fire this morning, when Kayla was out there, they said there is a lot of firefighters out there. She didn't even really know, right, how many different departments had responded, if they were getting help from different neighboring cities. This is turning into an all-hands-on-deck situation, and you can see as they're pouring water on it, it continues and continues to go up in flames. We're looking to get answers about how this started, right? Was it able to spread? Kayla talked about 2 explosions being heard from the house that potentially started this fire. That's the word from Birmingham Fire, is that there may have been a couple explosions that came from that vacant building, but it has spread and gone on. And before we can get any of those answers, before they can go in and investigate these things, they got to get this under control. Sarah, we're talking about a whole block of 5 Points South where a fire is just raging on for hours.
Yeah, this is not contained in any sense right now. You can still see those flames just roaring there, and fire crews hard at work. And, you know, the fire chief was mentioning this was all happening in the middle of a shift change. So crews that originally responded having to change out there. Obviously, they're having to call in additional resources. And, you know, Scott, just from where we're sitting right here, we have been watching this all morning long, and it's really incredible to see where this fire started. We saw the home, where it started, those flames as they started to spread. If you were just now joining us, you're just now getting the image here, you would not even know that a home stood there because everything was collapsing from the roof. We saw parts of the front of the building start to collapse. It looks like the entire home is now gone because of just the strength of those flames there that were roaring from that building since early this morning. You know, we talk about the people impacted. The Red Cross is there on the scene working to assist those that no longer have a home because of this fire. We do know that Kayla was telling us earlier there were 17 people in one of those apartment buildings, 3 in another. So a lot of folks right now don't have anywhere to go, and all their belongings now destroyed because of this fire.
And you heard from the woman that Kayla talked to there, who was in one of the neighboring apartments, where this fire really, they were getting taken out of the apartment as a precaution, right? And then that's the right thing that Birmingham Fire did. Credit there, because they saw that and got everybody in the neighboring buildings out. And that is potentially why we have no injuries, no deaths reported right now, which is the best news here that we can pass along in this moment. But she was saying they didn't think much of it, right? They just kind of thought this is a precaution. We'll be able to get back into our house, start our Friday on this Halloween Friday. And then this thing has just raged on and on. As you look at it and the intensity of the flames that were burning this morning at the house where it started, it was really hard to try to figure out just how that started and got going so quick and how the flames were raging that much. It seems like maybe something kind of sparked a fire there, as we talked about Birmingham Fire talking about 2 explosions from that house. So if you're just joining this morning and you're trying to set the scene of exactly what happened here, maybe you saw the plume of smoke and you turned your television on. These apartment buildings, these buildings, again on 20th Street South and 5 Points South, this is not where the fire started. This all seemingly started from a fire in that lot that now looks like it's vacant because that building is a total loss. And it has spread to those other buildings. We do know confirmed information that 3 buildings, the building that's gone and those 2 apartment buildings on each side, are the 3 buildings that have caught fire. And it still seems like a race to get this out. And you can see that apartment building on the left that now looks pretty much like a total loss. There's still fire coming from the roof there at the top of that building. And now these people that left their homes at 5 in the morning looked out onto the street at this vacant building, and they're probably aware that it was vacant, right? They're watching that burn, not thinking much of it, and now their whole life, everything that was inside, their prized possessions is gone. And so this is a tough situation for those folks.
What a wake-up call for those folks this morning. We have multiple crews there on the scene. We did hear from Kayla Davis moments ago. We have our own Jarvis Robertson that is there on the scene as well. You've been down there, Jarvis, gathering some information. What have you found out so far?
Well, Sarah, just moments ago, I did have a chance to speak with the American Red Cross. They told me as of right now, they have 18 people that have been displaced, and they are working to get those people somewhere safe to go. But this is still a very active scene. As you guys mentioned, this part of the section right here, I mean, it is completely hollowed out. We still have multiple hot spots here, several hot spots. So it's unclear just how long Birmingham Fire and Rescue they're going to be here on scene. Now, I was told by the American Red Cross that a couple of these buildings were vacant or possibly had apartments at the top of them and had office space at the bottom of them. Her exact words to me was that this was much of a hodgepodge situation. So it's just a mixture of commercial and realty space. Now, if you look over here at this building, there is a massive blaze still coming out of the top. This specific building that sits at the corner of 20th Street South and 13th Avenue South, it has a for sale sign in the front of it, so it's unclear if just one of the units was for sale or if all of the building was for sale. But as of right now, I can tell you this building, it will not be sold. And just looking at this hot spot, guys, this massive blaze coming out of the roof, I mean, this is pretty remarkable seeing something like this. When I spoke with the American Red Cross, they said that it's not uncommon for this time of year for them to see more calls because we know that it is getting cold and people are starting to turn their heaters on. So if your heater is not working properly or if it's not properly operating, then that could lead to an issue. But as of right now, we don't know exactly what caused this fire to spark. But again, multiple Birmingham Fire and Rescue crews, they are here on scene. They're going to be here for quite some time. So I'm going to try and speak with them in a little bit because I have not had a chance to speak with them, but you guys did have a chance to listen into that press conference. So once we get any new details, we will be sure to bring it to you guys. Reporting live here in Birmingham, I'm Jarvis Robertson, WVTM 13.
And Jarvis, Scott and Sarah here with you, wanting to ask you a few questions while you're down there on the ground. You know, they put out a warning, Birmingham Fire, saying to avoid the area, asking the public to avoid this area because of toxins that can be released in a fire this size. Have you yourself noticed it's a little harder to breathe down there? Anything with just the size of the fire, the amount of smoke that's in the area?
Well, so what's very interesting, we have a breeze right now. So where we're standing, the breeze is pushing the smoke and the toxins and that smell is pushing away from us. But at times we are smelling it. It is coming our way. I know as they get, as the firefighters, they get one particular section out that's really blazing and really going, that's when we'll notice that intense smoke that you're looking at right now that's rising up. The darker the smoke is, the more fire there is there. Once that smoke turns white or a light gray, that's when the fire is typically out in that specific section. But we are definitely smelling. I know on my way to work coming in from the Irondale area, I could see that there was a fire in downtown Birmingham just by how hazy it was outside. One of our meteorologists says that they can see this all the way down 280. So this is very intense. You have to be mindful if you have breathing issues, if you have asthma, say for instance, chronic heart disease or anything like that. You need to be mindful if you are in this area because this can definitely cause some issues for you.
Yeah, great information there, Jarvis. Can you kind of set the scene for us? We know this is a very busy area. This is right on 20th Street South, right around the Cobb Lane area. We're about half a block away from Ocean Restaurant, a lot of other popular restaurants and bars there in the heart of 5 Points South. How are folks able to get around this right now?
So if you are familiar with driving here through the South Side, driving through 5 Points South, you know that it can sometimes be somewhat of a maze. Trying to get through this specific area of 20th Street, no one is going to be able to get through because the block where you mentioned Ocean, I can see Ocean from where I'm standing. Also, I can see Mellow Mushroom down the end, and there's the Chick-fil-A down there. Right there at 20th Street, it is blocked coming up this way. Also from the other end where Legacy Credit Union is, they have it blocked that way as well. If you go back into the neighborhoods over near Ramsey High School and the fire department, they have some of those roads closed off. So it's somewhat like a maze trying to get in here. So if you do have to drive in this area, I suggest that you go ahead and find an alternate route to go because you're not going to make it through. There is a lot going on, and rightfully so. I mean, you have all of these first responders out here, and I should also say I've seen the ATF out here as well. So definitely interesting in finding out why they are here on the scene of this massive fire as well.
Jarvis, great information there. Thank you for your reporting. We're going to let you go and gather some more information as you work that scene. Again, these are live images from 20th Street South and 5 Points South. Jarvis made a great point about the smoke. When you see it start to get lighter, a light gray or a white smoke, that means normally the fire is more contained. But right now that is thick, dark smoke that is still just pouring into the air. And he touched on the air quality, saying where they are, the wind is really blowing it in a different direction, so they're not seeing too much effects. But there it is. Look at this. So this is the view from Red Mountain, right by our studio, right by Vulcan. And this is the thick black smoke that has been poured up into the air since, you'd say, like 5:30 this morning, Sarah. We started watching this shot and this smoke develop. People telling us they've been seeing it all the way down from Shelby County, and this is concerns now that in the area this could affect the air quality.
Yeah, you know, that's a very busy area. We were just mentioning that, a lot of restaurants and bars. That's right just a block away from the heart of 5 Points South right there. And Jarvis was mentioning the buildings impacted here. Some mixed use buildings, some commercial, some residential there. So a lot of folks being impacted by this. Traveling down 20th Street there, that's how a lot of folks get right into downtown Birmingham, right towards UAB there, especially folks coming in from Homewood, parts of Vestavia, going down 20th Street there, making their way towards UAB and 5 Points South, and as well as other parts of downtown Birmingham. So a lot of people impacted by this. Even if you don't go anywhere near the south side, you've likely seen this smoke billowing up in the sky. Jarvis was mentioning driving in from the Irondale area, seeing the impact of that smoke. Down Highway 280, folks seeing the smoke in that area as well. So we're definitely seeing it blowing towards the southeast side of Birmingham. So you can see this from miles and miles away, and the air quality certainly being impacted by this. Birmingham Fire mentioning the toxins in the sky, asking people to avoid this area if at all possible. We do know that in addition to UAB not being too far from there, we know there are other schools there, some Birmingham City schools that are likely just blocks away from where this fire is very active. And it's just incredible to see those flames going so strong hours into this. I mean, normally we see these knocked down pretty quickly.
Yeah, normally they're able to contain these so quickly. And now you think about this starting at 5 in the morning. We're coming up on 10 in the morning now. Firefighters are battling this huge scene right now. So now you have a larger scene than they're used to, right? You've got basically an entire block that you have to contain, as you touched on so well and Jarvis touched on, in a very popular area. So this is video of how it started. So if you were watching the news this morning, you saw this. That building is still standing. This is now completely gone. The building has fallen. It is a total loss. This is right before, I believe, the roof was about to fall down. And then we kind of saw the second story go down, and then the first story went down. And the fire has only raged on from this moment. This is just the beginning. Here early in the morning, before the sun was up, this was just the beginning. And Birmingham firefighters are going through a shift change and dealing with all of this huge scene in fire, and there you see a piece of that building. That is one of the apartment buildings that this fire spread to. Kayla was saying there was 3 people in one apartment building, 17 in the other. Those are either people or units in total in these buildings, and those now look like they might be a loss. Now we go to our live images, and this shows that the fire is still raging on, and that smoke continues to pour out of there, and it is still that thick, dark smoke indicating that this fire is still going strong. We're starting to see some lighter colors get in there, but this is an active fire. They are still battling this out there. They're trying to get this under control. And you have to think about, they're warning the public that toxins are out in the air, right? Well, the firefighters, they have equipment, but they're battling that too. And they go right to danger. Our first responders who try to keep us safe, and you can see they're trying to shoot water onto the top of the building here. And as quick as they're finding these areas and putting them out, it's just seemingly that this is spreading and just burning with such intensity.
Yeah, taking up an entire block there, and it's just incredible to go from that early morning video to where we are now, and you could see where the fire started and how hour by hour it started spreading to the structures there. You mentioned the 17 people in one apartment building, 3 in another, now without a home, no belongings. We do know the Red Cross is there on the scene. We saw their van pull up around 8:30 this morning, always there to quickly respond to these types of situations to help those in need, and the need is great here. Again, about 20 people now without a home. If you are watching this, if you would like to help in some way, if you know these people who are now displaced and you would like to get help for them, we do have we have information on the Red Cross on our website, WVTM13.com. A lot of folks now in need of that help, and it's just incredible just sitting here, Scott, watching these images there.
Yeah.
I mean, these flames have gutted that apartment building, and that home that we've been watching all morning, no longer standing, just a complete pile of rubble right now, just collapsing from the intensity of those flames. The response is great. We can see those ladder trucks out there. They've been out for hours just spraying that water down. But again, this is a very difficult fire to contain. They can't even get in here and try to figure out how this all started. We do know it started right there in the middle of those apartment buildings at a home right there, and then quickly spread in those flames. This is a live image we're looking at, those large flames still shooting up from the building, still sending that smoke billowing up in the sky. Very dark black smoke, and again, toxins in the air. Very dangerous situation for folks to be around.
And this is not what we normally see, right? Sometimes crews are so easily put out a fire. Sometimes they're there so quick and able to contain a fire, so only part of a building is destroyed. But it is interesting to note that you had the Birmingham Fire saying just about an hour ago that there were potentially 2 explosions at the vacant house where this started. And then Jarvis pointed out, as a guy who has covered a lot of these, right? He's been to a lot of fires as a reporter and an anchor for us. And what's interesting to him is alcohol, tobacco, and fire. ATF agents are on the scene. So obviously they got to get this under control really before the investigative work can begin. But it is interesting to see that ATF is on scene, and Birmingham Fire noted 2 explosions coming from that vacant house.
Yeah, you and I both mentioning we've been to a lot of these fire. They don't call the ATF out for every fire.
Right.
So that is certainly noteworthy there that the ATF is on the scene. Of course, can't really get an investigate until this fire is out, and those flames still going strong there. And we do want to show you a map here just to give you some perspective. This is a heavily populated area there on the south side, right on 20th Street. That is a direct path into UAB, right towards downtown Birmingham. Just about a block away from the heart of 5 Points South, that big interchange there. It's about a half a block away from Ocean Restaurant, a very popular restaurant. We know Mellow Mushroom is down there, Chick-fil-A, a lot of restaurants and bars there in that area. So this is likely an area you pass every single day if you were driving into work, going towards that area. This building was mixed commercial, residential, some of these buildings that were impacted. So folks living here, working in this area. You can see in the prime real estate right there at 20th Street South, right around the Cobb Lane area. If you go eat, if you go to bars, entertainment area, you know this area well.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about the poor people there who stepped outside as a precaution from those apartment buildings, watching this vacant building burn down, and now they have a lot to find out. The Red Cross is on scene helping them with that. They've been there since 8:30. We have Jarvis Robertson back with us here as we close in on 10 o'clock. Jarvis, what else can you tell us?
Well, Scott, we haven't learned anything new, but still, this is an active scene, and just looking at it, it blows your mind just to see this type of scene playing out in Birmingham's 5 Points South. You guys talked about the air quality. There are quite a few people out here that are wearing masks right now because they don't want to inhale the smoke and the toxins that are being released with this fire. Also, seeing some of the people, they are just completely amazed. They don't have much to say. Just looking at this in the area where they live, where they frequently visit, is something that they are definitely not used to. And now again, when I spoke with the Red Cross, they said that it's common this time of year when it starts getting cold, they start to see more fires pop up. It is unclear exactly what started this fire, but as you guys mentioned, Birmingham Fire and Rescue, they did say earlier this morning, possibly there were 2 explosions that happened that sparked this incident to kick off here in the area. So it's going to be interesting to see and learn what exactly happened. You guys talked about the ATF being here on scene. I am seeing them right now. So if the ATF is called in, it's for an investigative reason. Also, I will be definitely interested in hearing from the fire marshal about exactly what happened and caused this fire to go up. Now, you are looking right now the center between the 4 buildings, or what would have been 4 buildings, because this one is completely burned to the ground right now. You can see it is still on fire. You see there are quite a few hot spots that are standing by, that are there as well. A lot of people just really concerned about what has happened. A lot of people still moving on about their day because, I mean, where we are right now, this is a common area in Birmingham along 5 Points South. So I'm going to continue to try and talk to people just to find out more about what they heard, what they possibly saw, because it is definitely one of those things that are that's a lot of people want to know about. They want to see what's happening. You are looking right now. You can see the firefighter right here. Let's zoom into that building. You can see him knocking out the glass in the front of this building. The roof is on fire. That particular structure, it looks like it may be a mixed use development, but as of right now, we are not sure. It's going to be very interesting to see how much of that building has been destroyed. So you have 4 structures that went up, possibly more than 4, because here on the south side, a lot of these buildings, a lot of these homes and apartments, a lot of them are close by each other. So it's easy for the fire to spread. Earlier, I mentioned that the smoke is mostly blowing away from us. That is a good thing. We are not inhaling much of it, but you have people on the other side that are dealing with this. You have Ramsey High School, which is on the other side. Birmingham Police, they have some of the roads blocked off. Earlier, when I was walking down to get to this particular area where I'm standing right now, I did notice that there was ash on the ground in some spots. So imagine with the wind blowing, the ash that is blowing back the other way, that is going to be in the front yards of some of the people that live here, or some of the businesses that are centered here in the 5 Points South area. So this is a lot to look at, to take in right now, but we're going to continue to cover it for you. Scott?
Jarvis, thank you so much.
Sarah?
Yeah, Jarvis, as you kind of alluded to there, and it's tough to tell from the camera shot, our last word from Birmingham Fire is 3 buildings caught fire. As you're standing there, does it look to you like that fire has spread to more than 3 buildings? I think he lost us back here in the studio, ability to hear us, and he's continuing to work that scene. And we'll wait on official word. Don't want to jump to conclusions, but we do know that Birmingham Fire is saying this whole block is an active fire scene, and it certainly looks like they still have their work cut out for them today, as this thing is not under control yet. And
all morning, Scott, we've been talking about the smoke that's just been billowing up in the sky. You can see from all the way down in Shelby County down to 80 parts of Irondale, seeing this smoke, very smoky in the area. Of course, Birmingham Fire mentioning the toxins from this fire. Our own meteorologist Stephanie Walker has been monitoring the air quality and the impact of this fire. Steph, what do you see?
So the U.S. Air Now, it's basically the official air quality index. And over the last couple of hours, I've kind of been watching some of the sensors, and they certainly have gone downhill. It's mainly confined to areas that are very close to the fire. So as you look at the map, you'll notice that we now have, and this is a sensor at Redmont Park. That's probably the closest sensor to the fire. But you can see it is now red. If you look at the levels, it's basically a 1 out of 6. But now we're looking at an unhealthy level at that particular sensor in Redmont Park. Now we're starting to talk about air pollutants that could be impacting the general public, not just folks who are unusually sensitive. That is the only sensor that I can find where we're seeing air pollution that is that high. Now, a lot of these sensors here are what they call purple sensors. We have permanent sensors, and then we have some low-cost sensors, which are called purple sensors. And these are the ones that are indicating the poor air quality, and most of those are a little bit closer to the fire, so that would certainly make sense. But Sarah, as you mentioned, we have a lot of schools that are in and around this area, especially in the Mountain Brook area, but even a little bit north of this, closer to the 5920 area too. Some sensors up that direction are showing moderate air levels, so not quite as bad. Our winds today or this morning have been out of the northwest or west, so it would make sense that most of the pollutants from that fire are kind of drifting off in that general direction where we're seeing there at Redmont Park that has the worst air quality.
Gotcha, Steph, and you make a great point. There's a lot of schools and different businesses around the area, in the immediate area where that fire is, but also where the smoke is going. So that's something that officials are going to have to make decisions on. As Birmingham Fire has said, there's a lot of toxins here. A fire this size releases toxins into the air, so they're asking the public to avoid the area. And there you see that thick black smoke that is lingering from 5 Points South. You can see it from downtown Birmingham, Irondale, 65, 20 to 80, wherever you were on your morning commute this morning, or if you've been out and about, you can see that. We do know, Sarah and I were doing a little research here. Ramsey, the closest school nearby to there, Birmingham City Schools have an e-learning day. So our understanding is they are not in class. So for the folks worried about maybe a student they know at Ramsey High School, it is likely that they are not in the building because they have an e-learning day. But then, of course, as this rages on, there'll be other schools in the area where the smoke is going as that air quality changes that we'll have to make some decisions. Potentially about if the kids go outside at recess today, all this as this is still an active scene. So we know there are many organizations down there, and one of them, Sarah, is the Red Cross.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we do know about 20 people were affected, displaced by this fire, no longer have a home because of those flames impacting their home. So let's go ahead and head out to WVTM 13's Kayla Davis. She's been speaking to the Red Cross. And Kayla, what have you learned about their response?
Yeah, hey, we are just outside of 5 Points South. They have actually completely blocked off this road, and they're still hard at work with this fire here. And I'm here with Annette Rowland with the American Red Cross. Can you talk to me about some of the efforts that you guys have been working at this morning to help the people that were displaced in this fire?
Yeah, this was an abnormally cold morning, so when we got the call from Birmingham Fire, we made sure to get down here quickly and brought coffee and some pastries and donuts and blankets for people to keep warm. A lot of people were here and they didn't have shoes on their feet, and thankfully one of our partners, Alchemy Run Crew, was able to bring shoes and get shoes to people in need, but there's a long road ahead of them.
Yeah, and that's saying something considering it is really cold out here and the floor is wet from all the water that's coming from their efforts to contain this fire. As far as long term, what does it look like to help them when finding a home, or at least short-term housing?
Yeah, so the first step is right now we are talking with everyone and trying to get that help and going back to our office on 22nd Street and meeting with everyone. But that first step is going to be working with the property manager to see if there are other apartments available where they can place some people. Also, once the water is out and the smoke is done, figuring out if there's anything that people can salvage from this. And from there, that's how we'll prioritize how we can help with financial assistance and other resources, because like you said, it's a long road.
And you've been out here for, I would probably say, around maybe an hour and a half now, the Red Cross. About how many people have you guys been helping out?
Yeah, so I've been told that it's about 15 so far, and we know that there are people that aren't here, that they left. Maybe they had to go to work, or maybe they went to stay with someone, so we're going to reach out to those people as well.
And I know you mentioned Alchemy Run Crew. Are there any other organizations or resources that are really pulling through to help these people in their time of need?
So right now, this is that phase where we're really responding. As you see, the fire is still happening behind us. And so it's getting in touch with everyone, getting a roster from the property manager to see who was here. And then we can start to bring in some other agencies to help as well.
Okay, thank you, Annette. That's all we have for you guys right now, but I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you guys.
Kayla, thanks so much. Again, Kayla Davis speaking with the American Red Cross. They're on the scene helping people who no longer have a home because of this fire. And it's 10:06 here. If you're just joining us, this is what we've been following all morning long. This started just before 6 o'clock this morning. If you were driving in towards Birmingham, you likely saw the smoke just billowing up in the sky. That fire started in a vacant structure, but it quickly spread to neighboring buildings.
Yeah, so total right now we have word from Birmingham Fire is 3 buildings caught fire. You have the vacant building in the center, and we can feel free to pop up the images as it progressed through the morning, but had a vacant building in the middle of 2 apartment buildings. That caught fire. Birmingham Fire saying there was potentially 2 explosions from there, and here it is. This is what it looked like early this morning. So right around 6 o'clock when our crews got there, this is what it looked like. Those flames began to spread and the intensity only picked up. Again, we're told this is a vacant building, and then the whole thing collapsed. So when we go back out there to our reporters, to the live shot, you will see that that is an empty lot. But that fire then caught to the 2 apartment buildings on the side. And we're hearing that there's 20 units that had to be evacuated. The good news is they were evacuated. Birmingham Fire got them out of there as a precaution at the time, but then they watched their apartment building go up in flames here as well, which is incredibly unfortunate, but we're so glad everybody is okay. And here's one of the buildings here that caught fire. I believe this is, as you're looking from the camera view just to the left of the vacant building, you can see pieces of that building have fallen down as those flames raged on. And just an hour or so later from when this video was taken, live shot shows that that structure has pretty much fallen. That building seems to be a total loss as well. We know there's a lot of crews out there responding. We just talked with the Red Cross, who is out there trying to help people. ATF is also out there, which is not a common scene at a fire like this, we'll say that. And then here's a live picture, a live image of one of the apartment buildings as they are just continuing to pour water onto the top of the building. So it has been an active morning for them. We know a lot of crews are out there. The last word we had from Birmingham Fire, which was probably 2 hours ago or so, was that they didn't even know how many crews have responded. They were getting all kinds of help, but they don't know everybody that is out there. It's just a massive effort to get this under control. It's an active fire right now, spanning about an entire block in 5 Points South. And Sarah, this is something that the firefighters are battling as they had a shift change as well that they're going to have to battle, and crews are putting in the overtime here to try and put out this fire.
Yeah, Scott, a lot of resources down there on the scene. We see multiple ladder trucks out there just spraying water as much as they can just to try to knock down some of these flames. I think that's what's truly been so incredible with this, Scott, is this started just before 6 o'clock this morning. And here we are still seeing flames just engulfing these buildings, and it's still spreading. They do not have this fire contained. So this is still a very active situation. They are asking folks to avoid this. And again, the location where this is, this shot right here shows it perfectly. Right on 20th Street South, you can see a building right there. That's right around Ocean Restaurant next to Mellow Mushroom there. So this is a prime spot near a lot of restaurants and bars. And we know that Pops is down there as well. So a lot of folks travel through this area. This is how a lot of people get down to UAB. Some folks drive this way to get towards downtown Birmingham. So, you know, this is a very active area that is blocked off to the public right now. And we mentioned the resources, just a massive effort. Started as a 2-alarm fire, but then they just kept calling in resources. When we spoke to the chief there on the scene, she told us they don't even know at this point. Again, it's just such a massive effort. And you can still see that smoke billowing up in the sky. Right now, this is going to be an all day long situation. And we do have multiple crews that are there on the scene as well, working to gather some more information. And it was interesting when we were speaking to Jarvis Robertson down there on the scene. He's talked about the investigative part of this, the scene that's the crews that are down there to investigate, try to figure out what started this. Again, we do know that it started in a vacant structure right there in the middle of these apartment buildings. And they heard 2 explosions in the middle of that, in that vacant building there. And the ATF has been called in, and that's not something that happens with every situation. So the ATF is there on the scene to investigate, of course. The investigation's not even going to really start until they can get these flames under control, which is what they're doing right now. You can see a live look here from 20th Street South in Birmingham. Those ladder trucks there, those guys spraying that water down, trying to knock down these large flames that continue to burn hours into this situation.
Yeah, you nailed it right there, Sarah. In a normal fire where they're able to get it under control, this might be the time where they start to piece together answers. But that investigation can't even start right now because they're actively trying to put out this fire. As you noted, it is interesting, ATF is on scene. And it's more than just the people in 5 Points South now that are affected. People saw the plume of smoke as they were driving to work. They were driving to school, right? You may have seen this plume of smoke. We're told you could see it all the way from Shelby County, but that has affected the air quality. Stephanie Walker just eloquently put it that there's a lot of people now in the area that have noticed reduced air quality. One area immediately around the fire is marked as unhealthy. If we want to go back to the rooftop camera here, I do want to point out maybe a piece of good news is, Sarah, to me it looks like that is not burning as intensely. There's not as much smoke going up into the air. At least that plume is not going as high as it was. So maybe that's a sign that things are starting to get under control. But with that, toxins are being released. As you look at that thick smoke, there are toxins in there, and that has the attention of Birmingham Fire. When they first spoke with us, first time speaking to the media after this, when they were in a situation where they could come and speak and give information to the public, they warned about the toxins that come with this size of fire. Here's Lieutenant Katina Williams with Birmingham Fire describing that.
Anytime that you have a fire of this magnitude, you know, there are toxins. So that's why we encourage people to stay away. You know, those that are close, shelter in place, keep the windows down. But definitely make sure your windows are down if you live in the area. And if you don't have to be out here, don't come out here. A lot of times you see residents decide that they want to stand out here. It's not safe for more reasons than one. But those toxins are very toxic.
Yeah, and that is something that Birmingham firefighters across the country have really become aware of is it's not just the active fire, right? That is the danger to them, and they have equipment for it, but it's what can be in the air, right? And those toxins that she talked about, fire departments across the country have become more keenly aware of that, and that was a great message to get out to the public is don't sit around and watch this, don't try to go watch this or drive down there, avoid the area because that is no joke and can cause some health complications. Right now, we know, as Stephanie Walker was saying, the air quality right around there is unhealthy. And as the wind is blowing, as she says, to the north and the west here, those areas are also seeing their air quality actively dropping right now.
And you know, one thing, Scott, you and I both noted sitting here all morning watching this unfold from where this started to where this is now, just truly incredible. And we do have a time-lapse video just showing how intense that fire was. We are here. This is a camera here on top of WVTM 13 here on top of Red Mountain, and you can see just that smoke continuing to billow up in the sky. We were getting calls into the newsroom, text, emails, folks saying they see this large plume of smoke from miles and miles away. I know Red Mountain Expressway, especially the way that is blowing right there, that smoke was covering up Red Mountain Expressway there, parts of Highway 280 dealing with this as well. So it's just incredible to see how this has continued so strong for so long. And again, it started in a vacant structure there, and you could make out the structure when it first started. It was a home there, a vacant structure right there, but you could make it out. And then as we kept going to those live images, we kept seeing parts of the building collapse each time from the intensity of those flames. So just truly incredible. And the amount of resources, again, the amount of resources, the work that Birmingham firefighters are putting into this. This has just been a long, tiring morning for those men and women that have been down there battling this fire.
And seemingly it's going to continue to be a long day. And you see police have blocked off the street there on 20th Street South, very popular area with restaurants and different businesses down there, of course, that we've talked about. Jarvis Robertson has been on scene for probably a bit more than an hour now. He's there. Jarvis, we've been talking about just if this intensity of the flames have gone down. It looks like the thick black smoke that was pouring out over downtown Birmingham has weakened just a little bit. Can you confirm that on the ground, or is this fire still just raging on?
So the intensity is definitely dying down. I want to bring your attention right here to the center portion. There was a blaze back toward the that back wall there. I did notice someone come through with what looks like some type of device that they used to turn the gas off. That fire, that little blaze that was there, it went out immediately. So when Birmingham Fire and Rescue talked about the possibility of explosions this morning, that could have been related to it. As of right now, we cannot confirm that though, but we did notice that particular part of the blaze, it immediately went out. You guys talked about that thick black smoke that was billowing from this fire. As of right now, it's more so gray smoke. So we know that the fire is definitely starting to die down. Most of it is gone. Now, there are several hot spots. Just moments ago, I did walk to the car to try and grab something that I needed. On my way back, I did notice on one of the buildings, the side of it actually fell down. So many of these buildings, it's possible that they are going to fall down. As of right now, we would just have to wait and see. But you can see right here, we do have Spire crews that are walking through. So that lets me know that, yes, gas was involved in this situation. It's unclear if that's actually what caused that fire to start. We still have this apartment building that is still standing right here. As I mentioned earlier, it does have a for sale sign in the front of it. That building's not going to be sold unless someone wants to buy it and just completely demolish it and build something else there. Now, here's the tricky thing about it. We are dealing with the wind. The wind is actually starting to blow back this way, so we are starting to take on some of that smoke. A lot of the people that were standing around, a lot of them, they have chosen to completely move from this area and go a different way. I am seeing people walking out with their suitcases. Possibly they live in the building across from where the fire started. Because of the air quality, they are headed other places. Some of them, they do have on those N95 and those face masks right now, trying to protect themselves from all of the smoke and the insult, all of the smoke and the chemicals that's in the air right now. But again, guys, this is pretty remarkable to see. I'm definitely interested in learning out how this fire started, what caused it to start. I don't know if you guys can tell right now, but it just got really hazy where I'm at right now. The wind is starting to blow back this way, so we are gonna move in a little bit just so we're not taking on too much of that smoke. Scott, Sarah?
Gotcha, Jarvis. We'll let you get to safety. Obviously, if the public is being warned about those toxins, we do want to be mindful of our crew that is out there as well. The good news was that wind was blowing away from where media reporters were. So that was, Jarvis was talking about, they were doing all right as far as the wind was blowing in the opposite direction. But as the wind changes and the wind shifts in areas, and then it can, be a problem for people in the other direction. And so we're going to let Jarvis catch his breath, get to some safety there. Again, I think two big updates we've learned since the clock has gone to 10 o'clock. The big update being that it seems like this fire is starting to get under control. It's no longer raging out of control. We've seen that on the ground through Jarvis's eyes and through this view right here, where this smoke is. It's still a thick, dark smoke, but it's not coming out in the same volume, intensity, and as high into the sky, which would indicate that this is starting to get under control. The other thing, and I guess we've known this for more than since 10 o'clock, but there are no injuries, no deaths with this reported. That is the bit of good news here, is that, and here's that time lapse again showing from, this is a screenshot at 9:20 a.m. on Friday this morning, and it looks like we lost it there, but you can see that this is starting to get more under control. Birmingham Fire doing as good as they can. Here's that time lapse. This will give you a good idea just how quickly this fire was burning and sending this smoke into the sky. Seems like thickest right now, around like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then you're right here, you're going to start to see it kind of dwindle and not be as thick or fill the sky as much, especially there where we stopped it at 10:15. And Sarah, these are brand new drone images from Sky 13.
Yeah, that's right. You kind of see that overhead view, and Birmingham firefighters, they talked about the size of this fire and how much it expands. They say definitely the entire block, and you certainly see the scope of it from our aerial images here. You can see how the apartment buildings there just gutted on each side there. The vacant structure completely collapsed. You have, I count at least two, maybe three of those ladder trucks there that are up, and that's very rare to see that many ladder trucks out responding to a fire. You and I have both covered a lot of fires out on the scene, and to see this size of a response, this is not normal to see such a large response. And again, they were mentioning the 2-alarm fire, and then of course more resources called in addition to that 2-alarm fire response. So looking at these images here, you can really see how gutted those buildings are from the fire. Truly incredible to see that, and those flames just continuing to just shoot up from the building there. Those, I would say, all three of those buildings, just a complete loss.
Yes,
there.
Yeah, and that building in the middle where it all started quickly fell this morning. That fire just burning out of control. And then these are the drone images recently of how that looks. You can see some of that fire is still smoldering. There's hot spots. They are just pouring water onto the fire as quickly as they can. And then this is live on the ground here on 20th Street, where you still see that smoke that is pouring out onto into the sky, and police are blocking the street there. And this is tough to watch. Sarah, you think about 5 Points South and the people living there, the people that call that community home. It is a wonderful place. I think so many people that live here have gone to the restaurants there. There's businesses they've gone into there. They of course had the mass shooting last year, and then you have this. That community community really has been through a lot, and now we know there's 20 units that they had to evacuate. And as you noted there from the drone video, the video we're seeing here, there is a chance that those buildings are a total loss. Certainly there could be smoke damage extended to these other buildings. So you feel for them and what they have gone through this morning. I think back to the neighbor that Kayla talked to, thinking this was just a precaution when they came out at 5 o'clock. And then she watched seemingly her apartment building go up in flames.
Yes, very tragic situation we've watched unfold, and we really can't stress enough the area where this happened. We talk about 5 Points South. We're right here on 20th Street South. It's just a main thoroughfare into UAB, into downtown Birmingham. So this is impacting a heavily populated area. Folks not just living there, but also folks going there to work, going there to restaurants and bars that are there in the area. This particular structure that burned to the ground, this is about a half a block away from Ocean Restaurant. Of course, a very popular restaurant there in that area. We know Mellow Mushroom is right there, just around that same side there of 20th Street South. So a lot of areas impacted by this. And of course, folks all over the metro area have been impacted by the smoke that's been billowing up in the sky all morning long. As far south as Shelby County, folks have been seeing this smoke. And we do know it's having an impact on the air quality. Birmingham firefighters are asking you to stay clear of this. Warning of toxins in the sky. Meteorologist Stephanie Walker has been monitoring the air quality and seeing which areas are exactly impacted by this. Steph?
And it makes sense that it would be those areas that are closest to the fire. And we've been keeping an eye on some of the air quality sensors that we do have in and around Birmingham. Some sensors are permanent, and then we have some sensors, what they call purple sensors, and they're a little lower quality, but they still do a good job in giving us an indication of what the air quality is like all across the metro area. And the worst is the sensor that's at Redmont Park right now. It has dropped just a little bit, I will say, just within the last couple of minutes. So it was in the unhealthy category, which once you start getting pollutants in that category, now we're talking about the general public that can be impacted, not just those who might have a respiratory illness or the real young or the real old, those who may be unusually sensitive. But now we're talking about enough toxins in the air that the air quality is so bad. They're in that kind of level 4 out of 6, the unhealthy category, that could impact just the general public. But I will say over the last 20 minutes or so, that's come down just a bit to where it's now fallen in the orange category. It's high orange, so it hasn't fallen that much, but that's the sensor at Redmont Park. Looking at some of the other sensors kind of north and east of town, those are in the moderate category, so a level 2, not terribly bad there. We've got one sensor, interestingly enough, that's actually north and a little west of where the fire is on Finley Boulevard. That's in the orange category, so level 3 there. So I hope we're trending in the right direction, you guys. This morning, typical morning weather patterns are that we have an inversion layer, meaning the air just is kind of stagnant and it gets trapped. But as we start to warm up, the air starts to mix out a bit, and so hopefully we can get some of these pollutants to be carried a little bit higher in the sky, kind of mix out from down near the surface where we all are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, Steph. That's good news to hear, because there tends to be some good news coming across here in the 10 o'clock hour. First of all, that Jarvis is there on the ground saying it doesn't look quite as intense. It looks like they're starting to put it out. We're seeing that plume of smoke from the sky camera here at WVTM 13 on Red Mountain next to Vulcan. That is starting to weaken as well in terms of the volume of smoke. Even this image down on 20th Street South, that looks a little bit lighter smoke than what we saw earlier. It's still pouring out there, don't get me wrong, but it was coming out in a bigger volume, and it was a thick, dark smoke earlier this morning. So hopefully this is all signs that things are getting under control. Hopefully the air pattern that Steph just talked about is a factor there. And definitely looking at this live image here, you can tell that is not nearly as thick, not nearly as much smoke that is pouring into the sky. But certainly it is a concern, and it has spread the impact of this to more than just a fire fire at a block in 5 Points South to widespread. If you're just joining us and you're thinking, well, I've got family members at Ramsey High School, what we've learned is, yeah, Ramsey is nearby, Ramsey High School, but Birmingham City Schools have an e-learning day. So they are probably out of the classroom, and that is a good thing here because they didn't need to be close to this. So that is a good news. And then here is the aerial video taken probably about 30 minutes ago. And you can see as you look in this area, you see downtown Birmingham in the distance, and then just the intensity of these flames. And look how widespread this is. This is a huge scene for firefighters to be responding to. You see all the ladder trucks trying to douse water on top of these buildings. And we know, last word from Birmingham Fire a couple of hours ago was that 3 buildings had caught fire, but there could be smoke damage to other buildings. We don't know if there's any other buildings that caught fire since then. These drone images are tough to see, and lives changed forever today. Sarah.
Absolutely, life changed, Scott. You know, the building where the fire started is vacant. However, those flames quickly spread to neighboring buildings there, apartment buildings. Folks were inside this morning. What a shocking wake-up call to wake up and see those flames outside of your window. And we did hear from one person there who was inside one of the apartment buildings. One of about 20 people, from what we understand, 17 people in one apartment building, 3 in the other. Just talking about their experience there, waking up to those flames, having to evacuate the building, and then standing by watching their home go up in flames.
I looked out my bedroom window where the back of our apartment building faces, and there's fire trucks, and I see orange kind of reflecting off of this huge abandoned house next to our apartment, and it was on fire. And it definitely looked like a small fire for a little bit, and it seemed like they were, trying to control it and contain it. And so I think everybody in our building was just kind of like, whoa, I guess that's happening next door. And then it started spreading, and it started getting bigger, and they started telling everyone to evacuate our building for precaution. And so I didn't really think twice. So just put on what I could clothes-wise and walked out. And yeah, it just started getting bigger and bigger. It was above like our apartment building. The flames were so high, and like I'd never seen anything that big. It was insane.
And we watched that right here on the morning show this morning about 6 o'clock. You just saw that get out of control there at that vacant building that was in between those 2 apartment buildings where she lives. I want to get back over to Jarvis Robertson, who's been on the scene now for a while. Jarvis, anything new you can tell us? What does it look like out there now?
Well, Scott, from the last time I talked to you guys to now, we're seeing a lot of those hot spots decrease. So that is a good thing. Looks like Birmingham Fire and Rescue, they have a good hold on this fire right now. Looking at all of the buildings that were impacted, I'm seeing very minimal hot spots. I do want to bring you guys' attention to the firefighter that's on the ladder right here. If you look up, you can see there is someone at the top of this ladder pointing down that hose, knocking down that fire. That is a good thing. Had a chance to speak with American Red Cross earlier this morning. They did tell me that they have around 18 people that have been displaced, and that they are working to find them somewhere warm that they can stay and not be essentially homeless because of this fire. So that is a good thing. As of right now, not hearing anything about injuries. We definitely love to hear that. Hopefully I can talk with the fire department again in a little bit, just to find out a little bit more about this fire, exactly how it started, and to find out exactly why they called the ATF in to help with the investigation. Reporting live here on the south side, I'm Jarvis Robertson, WVTM 13.
All right, Jarvis, certainly stay safe out there. The fire department mentioning the quality of the air, the toxins in the sky from this fire. We do know we have sent masks out there. We have multiple crews there on the scene. There are masks that are going out there to help them stay safe while they're out there gathering some more information about this fire. Yeah, and just avoid the area if you can, because the air quality there is no joke. And again, we do know that there are no injuries right now. It seems like the fire is weakening, and that is the great news. And we're going to go gather some more information as we hit 10:30 here. Thank you for staying with us as this breaking news situation has unfolded on 20th Street South in 5 Points South. A massive fire that really spread to the whole block and is sending out a thick black smoke all over central Alabama right now. We'll be back at midday. Sarah and I will join you at the top of the hour with more information about this massive fire that has rocked 5 Points South on this Friday morning on this Halloween day.